Hello YouTube and welcome to episodes 9 and maybe 10 of Girls Last Tour, back here again today for some more Girls Last Tour. Last week on Girls Last Tour we had a couple of episodes, one of which I liked probably better than the other one in 8, better than 7. Yeah, 8 was great, it had some lovely character moments, it had a brilliant ending, I think it had a great, pacing to the episode, kind of gradually building up and then letting off that steam. Thought that was quite nice. And now we're on to episode 9, potentially even episode 10. If you're following your conventional 12-episode anime structure, generally around here is when you would get some kind of backstory, some kind of reveal, some kind of twist in perspective, I think. That's what I would do. But again, this isn't an anime original, it's an adaptation, so maybe our pacing will be slightly off there. Just a couple of YouTube comments here today for us to go through. Not too much here, it means all the more time to crack on with the episodes, I guess. First comment here by Black Rose's Thorn, and it makes a interesting point, I would say. So the phone on the desk. I didn't even notice the phone on the desk, so that shows how much I know. Would have been important in just about any other post-apocalyptic story, but it's not even acknowledged. Neither of them give it as much as a glance before you start smashing shit. See, again, I didn't even notice the phone. Who knows what might have been on that phone, even if it worked at all. Definitely not them. Just another example of the show not having the same ethos as a lot of other post-apocalyptic fiction, which is something that I'm picking up on a lot. Like what you said about saying that another story might have punished them for letting their guards down and drinking the night away. Moonlight is one of my favorite segments. It's just too cute. As Baki Monogatari falls off my shelf back there. That's great. That scared the shit out of me. Anyway, what was I going to say? Yeah, this is the point of the show in a nutshell, I think. Is a challenging post-apocalyptic genre fiction tropes in a weird way. I've said my piece about absurdism in this regard and meaning in story and what we're trying to get across here. I think what we're trying to do is be a little bit unconventional. Yeah. Because again, like as you said, the phone would be a setup in any other story. Again, I'm thinking, the first thing I'm just thinking of is Last of Us, right? They literally have a scene like this where the characters put down their guard and then a bad thing happens, literally. And it's not like that's the first story to do something like it. I think it's almost like a cliche in that genre that something like that would happen. But nah, that's not how life works, right? Life, you do have these moments sometimes and they're nice. And you are allowed to let your guard down. And it's not everything has to have meaning in the same way that a story does. And I think that's what we're trying to get across here in a big way. Next comment here from Panic. They were in fact humming the Raindrop ED. In the Moonlight segment, I would say as well. During the kind of unique ending there, they're kind of humming that tune. You could probably take something from that in that the Raindrop song was kind of the song of the world at that point. So just drunkenly humming it along as well, it has meaning there too. And this is kind of a succinct version of what we'd kind of been talking about already as well as last week. The beer scene contributes really well to what you were saying to Kanazawa. Life is pointless, but there are nice things sometimes. Very, very true. Very true. Beer is nice. Life ultimately meaningless. A search for meaning only reveals the chaos. But that doesn't mean there aren't nice things along the way that make us happy, right? Having a beer with your best friend. I think that goes a long way, right? Or cousin. I never figured out if they were related or not, I don't think. I would imagine they're just unrelated. Anyway. It matters not. We should move on to the episode proper. I guess I could give some broad predictions. Again, I'm predicting almost an episode that's a little bit different in structure coming up pretty soon. Just maybe a flashback episode, maybe I don't know, some other bigger reveal. The one I always go to, and it's probably the most prototypical example of this 12-episode anime structure, is Madoka Magica. So I guess spoilers for Madoka, but not really. I'm going to talk about it pretty broadly. Episode 10 of Madoka changes structure in an interesting way and reveals some backstory about a character that needed backstory, and it's one of the best episodes. I'm expecting something similar coming up soon here. And there's numerous other examples of stuff like this, 12-episode shows, 24-episode shows. They generally go for this structure. I would love to know the name for it in our story arc kind of writing scaffolds, if that makes any sense, right? If there's a name for something like this. I guess you could just call it a flashback. A very important flashback. Something like that. Either way, I think I've rambled long enough based on 2 comments. I think I'm going to jump into episode 9 here, but not without my shill stuff. So if you like the video, consider liking the video. If you like the video and you want to see more, consider subscribing to the channel. Comment below anything you thought about the episode, anything I could do to improve my presentation. Comment below. I'm doing follow for follow on Twitter, so follow me on Twitter if you'd like me to follow you back, as well as a Discord. You should join Discord. If I can speak, that was very bad. Join Discord. Join Discord. I need to do like the vocal warm-ups. Or I could just like watch the episode, which I may do now. So see you in a second. Rightio, I have episode 9 of Girls Last Tour up there ready to go. 23 minutes and 43 seconds on this one, so please sync up accordingly. There will be a picture-in-picture in the description below, as well as the Essenshi subs which we're using. And yeah, just gonna give it a 3, 2, 1. Rightio, 3, 2, 1, go. Okay. This is pretty familiar. I feel like most episodes have started with something like this. Isn't this just like the first episode? Yeah, it feels like the first episode. Okay, and I'm recording. That's good. Well, there's electricity now. We're another level up now too, which would be interesting to follow. This facility almost seems alive. The sound design continues to be really good. There's also no opening for some reason, and it's very creepy. I don't know, man. We're trying to answer that all the time. Yeah, but what are we beyond that? Yeah. It's very sci-fi. Okay. We're in the droid factory. I couldn't sleep with like creepy sounds happening. Something about water? Yeah, I just saw that, true. Oh. Okay. Yeah, they watched the show too, that's good. I remember where each and every one of those frames is from. That's good. A real focus on water. Sounds like a boss is coming or something. Like about to show up. Well, it's a robot. But I mean... Okay. I can't say I expected to see it. Are we gonna start doing our transhumanism stuff? Because we brought up the idea of things being like alive and what is life. More importantly, it looked like it was moving some stuff around and like almost building something. Hmm. And as we all know, machines can't be alive. Well, consciousness is important. I think, therefore I am. Well, somebody could still program that. Hmm. Okay. Well, How would you have heard such a thing? From whom? And even then, you've seen other living things. You've seen other humans. And what about fish? Fish are alive. Hmm. Is this like a big old tank or something? Give me a date, please. Okay, just before Christmas. That's a very interesting edit there. Let me look at it. I'll tell you if it's evil or not by looking at it. Mm-hmm. Oh, I don't know. Well, it's doing the... Oh, no, it's cute. We're doing that thing that we just talked about. Okay. Well, yeah. What else would it be? Hmm. Some kind of AI. Well, what if they take the fish? Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't test him. Well, yeah, there's no more security. Just... We don't need to eat the fish, do we? Yeah, construction machine. Oh, only two. We found both of them. Okay. Yeah, it really pulls into question what society even is. Okay. I do like the contrast between the fish and the robot as well. Like, what's the difference between the two? If anything, the robot's more alive, right? It looks like it'd be cold. Are we in an aquarium? Then what did we come to this aquarium for? Oh, okay, not quite an aquarium. Like fish farm. Is it heated? Because if not, it's like December. I mean, we'll take any opportunity to go for a swim. In the naked, too. Okay. I mean, what else are you going to do? Only you. Be like the fish. No. Well, she's dead. She was merely trolling you? Indeed. Obsessed. Jesus. Choppu. Looks quite relaxing. Don't bump your head, though. Washing clothes. Classic. Exactly, right? One swimming, one washing. Well, yeah, we always set that up, right? That's a good point. The tasty one. You could do it in one of the other pools. So the water's big enough it's not going to, like, make it dirty. Yeah. Ooh, okay. It's a very interesting point of view. True. Deviating away. Gotcha. Because you two are very different characters. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you gotta tread water. Which is fair enough if you don't know how to tread water. Yeah, kind of like an egg beater, right? That too. If you stop thrashing around, just hold your breath. Don't breathe out. Breathing out would be bad. I can't believe this is the end. Mm-hmm. Was the fish on the key already? I thought they made it. I need to go back and have a look at that. Also, like, is this going to be important, or should I focus on the seriousness of what I'm looking at, or? No, we're fine. How much water did you throw up in the air? Yeah, barely. Hmm. Seems kind of dead, no? Haven't seen many trees about. Or even really any land that isn't, like, concrete. Are they eating fish food? Oh, a mutation. You could say that. What, fish food? I think that's what. Try to get it to catch one. Yeah, like that. How? Think about it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, okay. Seems kind of comfy. You hit the nail on the head, yeah. The ability to feel empathy. Yeah. Empathy and sympathy are often confused. I think you showed empathy before for at least some of Chi's swimming problems, right? By saving her. Just a little bit. Maybe not directly empathy. Yeah. Ominous. Is you up? Yeah. Time for a slap. Because the big dog's here. Whoa. Well, we gotta get out. You're gonna destroy the fish. That's the last of its kind, though. Think about it. Huh. Interesting. So that's kind of how they talk. Yeah. I don't think it bodes well for our small friend. Especially with how aggressive it's getting. I will merely destroy you too. Okay. Yeah, I mean, probably. Huh. Okay. Yeah, but what's the new? Yeah. Well, we've already established that being in the water, at least for Chi, is very dangerous. But I mean, is this like a good idea or? Yeah. I wonder why you feel like this fish. Oh, okay. That's not how I thought we were going to save the fish. I think it's a very weird thing to destroy one of these robots to save the fish. It's a metaphor. You wouldn't understand. Okay, are we addressing it? Exactly. Yeah. How is it different to the thing you just said was alive in that robot? I don't know if it can. Alright, it's time to murder. Okay. Some amount of remorse. Giving her the detonator is crazy. Okay, bye. How good is the sound in this show, man? Holy shit. What a sound effect. There's a bug on me. Weird. Okay, this doesn't bode well for the end of our story. But I mean, it also makes a whole lot of sense in context with the world, so sure. Hmm. Okay, thank you, little fish. I will continue to feed the fish. We really love fish, huh? Okay, I mean, that was a nice little detour. What do you reckon he tried to say to me? Anyway. And then this song that sounds very sad. This is gorgeous. I'm kind of stunned. What an amazing choice for an ending. How good. Yeah. How good. That was very good. Interesting. And yeah, jumping into a bit of analysis on episode 9. Yeah, I mean, as soon as you see the robots, that's when you know shit's gonna get real. What an episode. What a very, very focused episode. Challenging concepts of transhumanism, empathy, creation, evolution, beginnings, endings, meaning in life, meaning in death, and everything else in between. Especially life, challenging like what is life? What does it mean to be alive? Is this fish alive? Why are we prioritizing this fish being alive over these robots? Are they some of the robots displaying some qualities of human empathy and some aren't, right? Or is the robot just expressing it in a different way? Is it merely just following its commands? What else is a fish doing other than following its commands, right? What else are we doing other than following our commands? Is there some aspect of self-actualization the difference between me and you, and that's why we can be considered a higher life form? I mean, I always take this back to Nier Automata, which I think is one of the better explorations of this concept of what does it mean to be alive. And spoilers for Nier Automata, it gets pretty real there, right? The difference between, again, being a human and being a robot. Fascinating episode. Genuinely fascinating. I think we are a little bit blunt in our concepts sometimes. I think we just go straight for the answer instead of dancing around it a little bit, which I think is the show's own style in a way as well. I don't think it's a point of detraction. I just think it's what it goes for, which is kind of very blunt, right? You know, we're not dancing around subjects, we're going right for them. I guess that's because you, who normally introduces them, is a pretty blunt character, contrasted with, again, like a robot. What else is a robot beyond being blunt? I guess we finally closed loop on where that fish came from, an upper strata from a bunch of water, right? Water's another interesting concept through the episode. Water, kind of like the liquid of life, right? Life on Earth would not exist the way it does without water. Which again, that only adds to, like, now we're like actively showing it in that way. Think back to the raindrop song, right? Think back to the rain dropping on various man-made objects, right? This kind of liquid of life, again, dropping on this, making music, making this final song of the earth, in a way. That's pretty deep now. I like that a lot. Yeah, you could definitely go back and have a long look at water, right? The warm water for the bath, the water we cleaned our clothes in and had a swim. There was the little stream past during the dream. Lots of stuff. Lots and lots and lots of stuff. I can't think of an episode without some form of water in it. Even using water when we're baking our little potato bread things in the episode 7 before. Yeah, there's a lot to think about. It's very contemplative. Not to mention, which I think is the moment of the episode, and probably an unpopular opinion, is that ending, man. What a song. What a choice just to make it pitch black. Just let the moment sit. I think that's fantastic. It made me sit there, be pretty much silent, and just reflect on the episode for a bit. I think the song itself perfectly encapsulates the feeling of the episode as well. I love our use of the choir throughout the music in the episode. Speaking of sound in general, I think the sound design of the episode is exquisite. In the start of the episode, we got all these loud bumps and kind of like rumblings from beyond. We don't know what it is. It's a bit scary. Then later on, when we finally like kill the giant one, the big robot, it makes an almost human scream, right? Which again just reinforces the themes of the show and what we're trying to get across. Just yeah, it's really, would a fish scream in that same way if we were to kill a fish, right? Which is again what you wants to do, like the entire episode is essentially, I want the fish to eat it, and then potentially sees herself in the fish a little bit. What was it that one comment said as well? Fish represent death in a weird way as well, an end. I think I'm kind of just rambling, but yeah, this was probably the most cohesive episode yet. I'll give you that. Mostly because it's another one segment episode, so we can focus on the same thing a lot. Reminded me a lot of episode 6 in that regard as well. But just this one and its concepts probably fascinate me personally a little bit more. Just another banger episode, especially after episode 8, which I would maintain is probably my favorite. Or this one. This one's really good too. Anyway, I digress. I'm going to jump into the episode here in a second and see what else I can see in the episode and see if I can extrapolate on any of these points that I've said already in a more concrete way. Well, I guess before I do that, I could talk about meaning and how it applies to all of this, right? Like, that we say that, you know, we're destroying this aquarium, right? Because that is what we need to... It's currently superfluous. We don't need it. We can destroy it so there's the chance that it gets reborn anew, right? But isn't that just ascribing meaning to life in a weird way, right? Meaning in death? I don't think that there has to be, necessarily, that just because something is destroyed does not mean that something's going to grow there in the future. And in that same way, we can only hold on to what we have now and not bury the past below us? I don't know. I do not know what to make of it. I don't know what I even personally believe on the subject. Yeah, anyway, I'll stop rambling. We're going to watch the episode now, again. I think we reflect the first episode of the show here, but with, different lights. In a way, because this episode is so much about beginnings and endings, I think we're reflecting the beginning of our story here, if we can even call it that. Our view into what their world is. We're reflecting the start, and then we end on a pretty concrete ending for the characters we meet here along the way as well. It sounds like things are moving around, so the facility's probably still alive. What do we mean by that? What do we mean by that? We literally say, like, alive, and then there's a shot of water, and then we focus on this fan. And we hear some ominous sounds from yonder, which, were pretty ominous in the end. I mean, that thing did try to destroy the facility. The facility itself somewhat confuses me. I'm guessing it's just some kind of, like, fish farm that would be on an upper strata of a city. Hence all the pipes, I guess? I do not know. Just definitely not something that I'm familiar with. I know that fish farms exist, but probably not that far above sea level. Either way, the very blunt you asking these philosophical questions, like, what does it mean? What does it mean to be alive? What is a life form, right? Like, you're obviously talking about the facility itself in a metaphorical way, but I think you get more than you bargained for in the end. A life form is a living thing. Well, what does it mean to live? Right? That robot, as implied by the last kind of post-credit scene, is going to continue to do its job, maintain the facility, and feed the fish until the end of its days, right? Until there's no fish left, and then I don't know what it would do, right? If there is some kind of conscience in there, isn't that some kind of purgatory as well? Like being forced to continue to do this no matter what? Is it truly living? Is it a living creature? Is it a life form? Again, very heady philosophical questions that have been answered in a variety of different ways over time, most of which that I can't summarize even now. What's another great example of transhumanist fiction? Let's say Blade Runner. Blade Runner is a great example, right? Where's the difference between an android and a human in the Blade Runner universe? I'm going to say not a whole ton, really. As you can probably tell, this is one of my favorite concepts for fiction to be about, so yay. Just, yeah, it's big old nerd shit. I love thinking about questions like this. As you tries to sleep in the back of the kind of vehicle, she gets to thinking about life. Sees water, button. The button, remember, represents literally the memory of a human life. This water on the ground from when it was raining some point in time. I don't know. The rattling of the screws on the ground. What else is that? But like transporting, like evidence of life, right? Like I'm moving the ground, so thing is moving. Again, continuously about water for sure. Water. It's another very well edited episode, I think, as well. Those little flash sequences are great. It just tells a lot with a little. You don't need any dialogue, just flash image, and it creates. It's evocative, right? It puts me in the character's mind space without needing a ton of dialogue. Really good. Another thing that I just noticed is upon hearing the sound get louder and louder, we turn off the light at the front of the Kettenklad. And yeah, then shit gets real. We find that there's like a giant robot. Almost reminds me of Horizon Zero Dawn in its kind of design. And my clue here is that it was carrying a bunch of crud, so it was probably a construction robot, and that ended up being correct. I like the design of the robots a lot. They remind me of, those videos of, like, I don't know who it was, but making these kind of robots with this kind of design that, like, jump up, like on blocks and that kind of thing, and run around and, almost mimicking, like, a four-legged animal, but like a robot. I don't know if I'm getting it across very well. Like a almost uncanny copy of what life is, in a weird way. Right? Not quite there, but still kind of looks like a giraffe or something, right? I love these looks too. They're like, what the fuck is that? And we just asked the question straight away. Was that thing a living thing? I don't think it was. It was definitely a machine. Machines don't breathe, and they're also not conscious. They're like this thing we're riding in. They're like a vehicle, right? They don't move or think by themselves. Except they do. They most certainly do. We give them cycles and they can just go and do what they and certain parameters, and if we follow certain parameters, then we do certain things. I have certain parameters that I need for my body as well. I need a certain amount of water, I need a certain amount of food, among other things, right? Like, what else is that beyond following my commands? At what point do I achieve the status of living thing compared to that? Is it that I can reason? Well, I mean, we watched 2 of the robots like conversing before, right? I do not know. They're interesting questions to follow, though. Here we do the very obvious one, which is, hey, if a machine walked up to you and said, hello, what would you do then? Kind of mimicking like a human interaction. Apparently there's no such machine that would do such a thing. And then, yeah, we do the double whammy, like expectations subverted here, right? I've heard that living things other than humans don't exist anymore anyway. So I misread this. I just thought it was living things. Because, again, we've met other humans. That's a stupid question. But, like, apparently we haven't seen any rats or, like, birds or anything really, right? Like, life other than humans doesn't really exist anymore, other than, again, this fish we're going to see in a second, which, again, subverts this statement. Oh, I like that. Interesting. Yeah, this thing. This is almost like what we see when the machines are talking to each other. This is almost like their little language that they're using. Hey, look, it's a fish, right? And again, we're doing this a lot. We're contrasting fish with robot, I think, and our regard for what a living thing is. Again, like, if we're classifying living as conversing and making choices and living our own little dreams and that kind of thing between you two, and the fish doesn't really do that. Fish is just kind of like a robot. It's especially inside this fucking tank, it's like a robot, right? Like, it's just going to swim around and swim around and swim around and then eat and then swim around. And what else is the robot doing, right? It's going around fixing leaks, feed the fish, I don't know, sit down for a bit. How much difference is there between the two, and why do we consider them different? I think it was very important for me to get like a good look at this design before I made like judgment on if it's evil or not. So right there, mate, I've got no clue. This could be the most evil machine to ever exist. But as soon as I say this, nah, that thing's harmless. It's just, I don't know why there's such a difference there. This segment is called Life, which again, that's what it's about. It should be called Life. You really wants to eat the fish, but changes her tune in time. Her main joke for the episode is, again, drooling and, like, again, just wanting to eat the fish in many different ways. Again, is that a command in your mind in the same way that somebody's programmed a robot to do that, who has programmed you to do the same thing, to want to eat? The robot's like, I don't mean you any harm. Okay, good, I'm gonna go eat the fish then. And it's like, well, I'm gonna call security. It's like, who the hell is security? Yeah, security no longer exists, probably because security was humans, and the construction robot we saw before most definitely isn't security. Throughout the episode, we see these kind of flashes, right? This kind of stuff, and I'm seeing this as the language that they're speaking. Whether it to itself, is this it thinking? Is this it communicating with something or attempting to communicate with something? I do not know. I like how, like, quick it's edited, if that makes any sense. How quick we see it, how quick it changes. Abrupt is a good word. It also begs the question of why. Also, is this like his dead brothers? Oh my god. I just thought these were like cartridges for something. No, it most definitely is. Like, this would detract from here, and these are the legs. Okay, sure. What was I even going to say? Yeah, it gives us an insight into the technology, at least before what happened. We've almost crawled up from below, which was World War II adjacent, right, in our technology. And as we climb up and up and up, technology is advancing. Again, in the same way that we've talked about in this episode, right? Like, as soon as we destroy one level of the world, right, we just build on top of it. And then we build on top of it again, and then again, and again, and again. Like, we're just climbing up through history in that way. And then, at a certain point, it's not a guarantee that life will sprout from that. Sometimes it's just over. Okay, I think we're getting across that concept very well. I understand the idea of the strata a lot more now. We learn here what the facility is. Again, like, broadly some kind of fish farm aquarium thing. We want to take a dip. which is, again, thematically relevant because water, because cleansing. Also, I'm thinking that you're very flippant in you just kind of follow your impulses, right? You wanted to eat fish and now you're bored of that and now you want to go for a swim, where she's more interested about learning about the place. Again, the difference between the characters broadly. But yeah, we go for a swim here. There's only one fish left in the entire facility. The other thing is like, well, I can eat that fish, right? Because it has no chance of reproduction. So I might as well eat it, which is, pretty sad, but sure. Or maybe this is almost the language that you were programmed on in a weird way, maybe. Right? Because this wouldn't be for robots. Why would robots need to read a sign? That doesn't make any sense. So this might have just been the language of whatever society we're in now, right? Yu starts to sink for a bit, but then gets herself back up out of the water, something that she is unable to do later on. Again, I thought that the scene where Chi is learning to swim was a broad setup for what may happen with trying to save the fish and the construction robot later on. But no, you didn't even get in the water, really. So, a challenging story convention, or will come up later. We'll say. Just continuously, just like, can I eat fish? It's been a straight, 3 minutes of can I eat fish? Again, the most concrete difference in philosophy. I'm going to use this spare water, this spare clean water to swim in. I'm going to use this spare clean water to wash my clothes in, right? Practicality versus living in the moment. Wow. It also reflects the scene earlier when they were doing laundry early in the show, because the fish potentially flowed down from this facility to the lower strata where we were before. Environmental pollution. Long ago, the Earth was one large life form. Well, we say that in, I guess, regards to washing the dirty laundry in the clean water. But man chose to separate himself from its processes, chose to separate mankind itself from the process of the Earth being one contiguous kind of ecosystem life form, right? And men are like, no, I'm better than that. I'm going to go build my own new form of society, rather than living off the land and whatever else. To the point where we can see it now that not much of the Earth's life formness is even left, right? Prototypically, that would be, you would see a serene vista and a waterfall and mountains covered in trees and that kind of thing, right? Now it's just all concrete. I haven't seen a blade of grass even, really. So I've seen those plants in the hydroponics farm, but I digress. But I mean, it's interesting, right? It's a visual conflict between the concrete and the water, right? Even right now, life force, Earth's life force, liquid waterness. And who is the creator here? Is it whatever created the Earth? Whatever concept that is, whether it be life, whether it be some kind of higher power, as we've talked about religion previously. Did man try to supersede that in a way? Again, I'm kind of just pontificating about random shit. It gets you thinking, this one for sure. In substitution of the natural cycles of water, air, and energy, he built cities to provide the means of his existence, right? Which does incorporate all of those different things as well. Our role is to maintain the infrastructure of the city's foundational strata to the best of our ability. So mankind moved on, right? They're like, hey machine, you make sure that the strata doesn't collapse, because we're going up. We're going up and up and up. And yeah, there's no humans around to keep confirming things, but they haven't changed their protocols, right? They're still going to continue to do that. Hence why the construction robot continues to construct, and hence why you continue to repair and maintain fish tank. And we're having these deep philosophical conversations over here, and you're just still swimming. I think another really interesting thing that we touch on here, right, is the idea of embarrassment and revealing oneself to something, right? Okay, you're pretty carefree, you. I think you'll just get your kit off and jump in the water no matter what. I don't think you would even mind if humans were still around. You would just do it, because who cares? Showing an amount of modesty is chi, even in front of this thing, just like a robot. Why would it care? It's giving it some kind of persona. Again, maybe based broadly on its male voice as well, right? That it may be embarrassing for me to be naked in front of such a thing, right? Considering itself almost like a human. I think this is the first step to the discovery that you make in the end, which is, hey, we're not so different, you and I. Or it's a cute thing that she's like just embarrassed about, and we don't need to hyperanalyze it. And then Chi fucking drowns, which is no good. Again, you could get your pseudo-intellectual hat on and say, here's the life force of the earth swallowing whatever remains of man left. But I think she just can't swim, man. I don't think we need to go too hard there. The interesting part comes as she's falling down deeper into the water. So one, we go immediately to the dream where I was riding on a fish in the water, in the ocean. Specifically the sea. What did we say about the sea as well? It reminded me of Grandpa, and Grandpa always wanted to see the ocean. Fish. We're thinking about fish. I want to pause on this shot here. Yeah. I think this is Grandpa giving the key to the vehicle that we're driving. The, again, Kettenkrad, I believe it's called. It's got the little fish keychain, right? Key. Grandpa hand, right? This is... I don't know if we saw this specific shot before, but this is definitely what's happening now, right? I'm going to give you the keys to this vehicle, and you're going to go do something, right? I don't know what that is. I don't know if it's to get something in return. I don't know if it's to just wander. I do not know. But that's another connection between fish and the girl's backstory, I would say. I wish I could talk more strongly on the fish metaphor as it pertains to the idea of life and humanity. I wish I could. I wish I had the capacity to do so. But I think it's evocative either way. I think it gets its point across, even if I can't, like, put it into words. As we wake up from drowning, we think back on the robot's words. Earth was once one large life form, one big life form. In that case, what is it now? Is it still alive? Or is it dead? Have we killed it? Have we killed the Earth? And is it an environmental message there? And then we take the next step, right? Which is, well, is there rebirth there? Did we destroy the Earth in hopes that it would be created anew and something else would grow? That doesn't seem to be the case so far. Maybe endings are just endings. And there doesn't need to be meaning in death. If we wanted to make it even more obvious, now, like, the humans in the scene are eating at the same time the fish is eating. So another connection there between the classical life forms in the scene. Another interesting point of view here is the idea of mutations, right? This species does not normally jump out of the water to eat, but this fish exhibits a mutation. It's a difference, right? A mistake, we call it almost. A bug, right? And then do one of the robots get a bug later on? Is that why they start, like smashing everything? You know? I think when Yu goes to feed the fish here, I think this is almost the forging of a connection between the two. So, like, throwing the pellet and then having the fish catch it. She's like, that's pretty fucking cool. Do you think we could be friends? And yeah, we played off for a joke here. Predators can't be friends with their prey, but maybe there's some kind of connection here, you would think? And that's what I thought we were doing, right? I want to take you with us on our journey. I don't know how that would have worked, right? If we're just going to get a fish tank on the back of the vehicle. Not exactly a great use of weight, but sure. No, we just kind of, we preserve the fish, and then we move on. Interesting. We recommend sleeping between the pipes, and then it looks like super cozy. Like, I would sleep there, right? They just look like the most comfortable possible, even though they're, like, sleeping on concrete. I guess it would help to have, like, somebody to lie on as well, but I digress. And then shit hits the fan after this, basically, and we get to, like, the major conflicts of the episode. Before that, we bring up the concept of empathy, which is an important one going forward. So Chi says, hey, you seem pretty human after all. Perhaps it's because in order to better communicate with humans, we were given the ability to feel empathy. That means when you were happy, I'm also pleased. And then, yeah, we see the machine shut down here as well. Like, if you saw it there for the split second, I had it up. But they're, like, turned into those cartridge things we saw before. So the other thing, right, they're literally sleeping in between pipes of warm water at the moment. And that feels warm. Warm is good. Warm pipes have been used early in the show as well. And the idea of empathy, is this what we've programmed into the robots to make them seem more human, right? Like, just reflecting your emotion back at you. If you're mad, I'm going to be mad. If you're sad, I'm going to be sad. If you're happy, I'm going to be happy, right? And then the big robot comes in here. I was like, what is it doing? Is it going to, like, murder us? Because in this light, it looks pretty spooky. Yeah, the big guy's here. It appears he has begun demolishing this facility. Why is he doing that? I do not know. Though unused facilities are occasionally demolished to conserve material. So essentially, I'm seeing this as like, hey, there's something's ticked over. I've realized that there's one fish left. This facility is currently pointless. I need to destroy it right now because it's taking up materials that could be used for something else. Death, rebirth, recycling, that kind of thing. And then we see flashes of that one, and then flashes of this one, which is slightly different. Almost got like a bluish tinge to the top. This is their communication between the two. It almost seems like they get into a heated argument there as well. I was, again, had some ominous feelings. I thought there was about to be some robot murder, but that's not what happens. We murder the robots later on. And as the pace picks up here, even with the invert, yeah, like an argument's going on. That's what I get. Like it got serious. We were unable to convince him. He's still going to demolish this place. Proposed the suspension, but he refused to consider it. And the first thing that Yu thinks of there is the fish. But the fish, what about the fish? So most sectors in this area have been put up for like destruction, right? I'm afraid that a bug fatal to the city must have occurred. What do we mean by that? Like a bug fatal to the city is almost like a mutation that we talked about before. Right? A change. Something changed. Or we could mean like a literal bug in that it was a disease and it's wiped out everybody. I do not know. And we're calling like the bug, is that the source of the evolution here too? Would you give the name evolution to the destruction of the old to create the new? Probably not. That's not what the fish did when it mutated. Really. It just gained a new thing. It didn't destroy anything else of the past. And then, yeah, we see these flashing scenes of all the water again, as we see, like, the rubble trickle into the water, right? Making these splashes. It makes us think of all the different times we've seen water throughout the series and all the different things we've seen, right? And that's where we make the decision, right? We're going to go save that fish. Yeah, let's go save that fish. So I don't know how to kind of pontificate on this very much more, right? We're going to destroy the robot that's destroying the facility, right, in order to promote artificial evolution, I think, right? At least we're metaphorically trying to say, right? Pulling something down to create something anew, whether it be organic or just reusing the parts for something else, based off long lingering instructions from past humanity, right? We're going to destroy that machine in the hopes of keeping one fish alive, right? A fish that, again, we've created a bond with, but beyond that, I don't know what much else, right? And again, when is fish alive? When is robot dead? Did we make the right choice there? We're just we're not letting go of the past almost in a way. We're against destroying the facility where the fish lives because, like, I think, is humanity beyond evolution in that regard? Do you know what I mean? Like, we're keeping it the same. We're keeping the facility the same. This robot's going to continue to maintain stuff until the end of time, as the post-credit scene dictates, right? Like, what was the choice here? Was it the right one? We kind of do it in the spur of the moment. Thinking on water? Yeah, I would love to see people's thoughts on this and what their choice here means, I guess. I get the feeling that our little machine friend wants the fish to survive too, though, so that's good. Again, I touched on this during the reaction as well. I think there's a pretty justifiable reason why you'd want to save the fish, metaphorically. It just represents you, the last of its kind, swimming around its little tank in a circle, getting fed every so often. We talked about it earlier in the series. What do we do beyond just continuing our little cycle, right? Of waking up, eating, sleeping, and doing whatever else. You want to save that fish because you think you yourself want to be saved as well, right? Like, I see myself in the fish, and I want to save myself. But by that same token, don't you see yourself in the machine as well? I would think so. I don't know. Interesting one. Yeah, when we name drop the thing, maybe that's empathy, I can relate to the fish in a weird way, So yeah, we're going to take some fucking C4 and blow up the trunk. His interior mechanisms will be destroyed in the process. Again, there was a broad feeling here that something bad was going to happen. Like, we would fuck up somehow, and there would be, like, somebody hurt, or somebody would, God forbid, die. None of that really occurs. I think, again, for the same reasons why we don't get punished for other stuff during the show as well. I do like the choice of music here, notably melancholy, using those choir vocals that we've used quite a bit. Chi here takes pause about killing the machine. I think, yeah, again, she encompasses my thoughts on the subject. So we're alive, that fish is alive too, and while the big machine can't talk, I think it could feel empathy. So we're feeling some amount of pause in killing it. Yu does not feel the same feeling, I don't think. I don't understand how the big machine feels empathy, though. Does it? Empathy for what? It didn't listen to its other little machine friend, right? I don't think it did. It didn't understand its point of view. It didn't see it from his perspective. It saw it from its own perspective. How does it feel empathy? Can it feel empathy? I don't know. Maybe. Again, another one for the comments, please. Long ago, man, machine, and city were all alive in a big cycle. Oh, this is great too. So we go back slightly. Like putting the stuff on its like back, and it kind of like turns its shoulder back to us, right? And like looks us in the eye almost. Like, oh, I know what you're doing. I can't stop this, but this is the end. Please don't do this almost. And then we play the same montage again of all the different water, all the different representation of life through the rest of the show. Maybe, this is the moment where you's like, oh, maybe this thing may be alive as well. Sorry, big guy. What is that if not empathy, right? And then, yeah, my favorite moment, or one of my favorite moments of the episode for sure, the sound this thing makes when it dies. Like a distorted human scream. Love it, love it, love it, love it. Like it's simultaneously like, not like legit like a scream. It's the sound of like machinery whirring to a stop. But almost that sounds the same. And yeah, we're very quick here. You're like, well, I guess the fish and I will live out the rest of our days. Until the fish dies, of course. Man, machine, fish, and city are all alive. But someday the end will come. And then you comes back very quickly and says the most like profound thing. Maybe life is just something that has to end. That there doesn't need to be a cycle of rebirth there. Sometimes it's just over. We question the robot here, right? This place is pretty banged up. Do you reckon you could fix it? Yeah, through evolution. Do you think that this little robot could evolve to the point in which it could start to maintain or fix some of these greater leaks, right? Or fix some of the big destruction that just happened, right? It's impossible. With only my own strength, I can do no more than stop the water. There may be limits to evolution as well. Limits to like putting something into a situation like very Darwinian, right? Put somebody in a situation where they need to evolve, fight or die, and it fighting out of that. I don't think that they can do that. I don't think we could do that across this time period with this machine. Maybe that's only a quirk to life as well, that we can do that. In the same way that we destroyed that large robot as well, the city itself ceased to change after experiencing large-scale destruction, right? Even, you could even talk about this, like the lower stratas, right? The ones we started at, right? We destroyed the world. Cool, let's build on top of it. We destroyed the world. We'll build on top of it. Like, curse to repeat the same mistakes almost as well. It doesn't mean that, like, change and evolution will happen from that. Potentially, we always just like make the same mistakes again. If there's no creation after the destruction, then it's just an end. As we look at the fish, I saved the fish, my little fish friend. Thank you. We're going to go, but I hope you two live long lives. Well, classifying them in the same like breath, right, as well. Both of you. And then, yeah, I mean, we say empathy and then we just like leave them for the rest of time, basically. The last thing we see here is this is when the big robot's talking. I wonder what he's saying, right? I cannot begin to tell you, but this is the last scene. What did he say to me? What did he say to almost the audience? Because, like, who else would be seeing this? Nobody responds to it. And then the ending. The ending, as I've talked about before, so we end on a pretty, like, we ask a lot of questions there in the last minute. And then this ending exists, right? We don't play the traditional ending, which has the upbeat pop song. We play this, like, I don't even know it's just gorgeous. And it just makes you reflect on the rest of the episode. Yeah, I love this ending. It's probably my favorite ending in the show for sure. Well, I mean, that's harsh because the Raindrop song's also an ending, but like, they're both good. If somebody could like link me this song, I would listen to this. I'd put this on my playlists. Yeah, I'm floored by this ending. It's so good. I should talk about the very last thing though as well, which is just you continuing to like repair leaks until the end of time, which I think is the point we're trying to get across, that you just continue to go no matter what. This is your purpose. This is what you were programmed to do. So you will continue. In that same way, it reflects like Kanazawa and Ishii as well, if I can stop right-clicking everywhere. The Kanazawa one where he's just like, well, I'm just going to like walk in this direction and see what's up. Okay, he just continues, right? There's no ending there. I think that's what we're trying to get across for sure. And I think I'm gonna leave it there. Hesitant to do so, but I think I will. It'll depend on how my next week goes, but I think I should be able to do maybe 3 next week. We'll see. It depends on if I talk about them for as long, but I just feel like leaving it here. I feel like this is a good spot to end things on. I feel like I've talked about it for a large enough amount of time, even if I've kind of talked in circles and haven't really given a real opinion to any of it. But I think the concepts themselves and giving both sides credence here is good. So yeah, I guess from here we try to do 3 next week. If we can't, it'll be 2 and then 1, or yeah, we should really try to push for 3 next week. Again, it just depends on how much I talk about them, because I found this episode very, very interesting. It might actually just be my favorite one. I think it's better than last week's, which was my favorite one. So now this is my favorite one. This show is only getting better. It's way more than what I saw on the box. On the box, I saw war is bad, right? Which was true, right? We do consider war to be bad. But it's so much more than that, this show. It really is. It's touched on a number of different concepts in very direct and blunt ways in a lot of ways, but also that's the way of getting to the heart of the problem, I think. You can write big old essays about it, but maybe you just summarize it in one line sometimes. And I think that's what this show does very well. Yeah, very, very impressed. Very impressed today. And yeah, that ending is untouchable. Again, just link me that song, please. It's so good. And yeah, I would love comments this week. I would love to read more about what other people think. I would love, yeah, big, long, like, pontificate about it a little bit more. Or at me on Discord if you don't want to, use the YouTube comment system, which is fair enough. I could actually have a conversation with you then. But yeah, two thumbs up. Extremely good episode. Extremely, extremely good. Going to do my show stuff now, so if you like the video, consider liking the video. If you like the video and you want to see more, consider subscribing to the channel. Comment below anything you thought about the episode, anything I could do to improve my presentation, comment below. I'm doing follow for follow on Twitter, so follow me on Twitter if you'd like me to follow you back. And the Discord, join Discord. Love Discord. Discord. Please talk to me about episode 9 on Discord. I'd love to have further conversations there. And recommend more stuff in this vein, because I love talking about it. Maybe put that in the recommendations for the channel segment if you've got another good something in this kind of transhumanism, what is the meaning of life type vein, right? I enjoyed talking about it in Lane as well when I did Lane. But yeah, I should stop talking now. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you next week for more Girls Last Tour. Alrighty, catch you guys later. Bye-bye.